Have you ever failed at something that means so much to you and then you just can't figure out how to dust yourself off and get back on track? Today's video, I'm going to unpack exactly that, how to build resilience. Hi everyone, I'm Fia Fastbinder and welcome to Moxie Talk, where I help you find your voice, share your message, and lead with confidence. Today we are talking about how to build resilience. But before I jump into the video content, if you are watching me on YouTube, make sure to hit that alert button so you get alerted of all of my new videos. And if you enjoy this video or any of my videos, make sure to like them, share them, subscribe to our channel, and check out moxieinstitute.com so you see more about all the great work we're doing here at Moxie. Now, this is part 2 in a 2-part series about how to face fear and build resilience. And last video, I talked about the kids who just can't find a way to jump off the end of that pier. Now, I want to continue on with that story because we have all had something in our life that is so absolutely terrifying that we just give up. And the problem with that is that this thing that we give up on most of the time means so much to us that it starts to eat away at us that we gave up. And a lot of times we get in a rut and we feel stuck and we just can't find a way to get back on track, to dust ourselves off and start again. Now, I am a firm believer that change happens when you are tired of your own bull bleep. I have seen this time and time again, not only with myself, but with my clients. When you finally refuse to accept that you quit and you refuse to let it take over your life, that is what change. That's when change happens. That's when transformation starts to begin. Now, I know this was definitely true for me. I talked in our last video, and I've talked a lot about freezing on a Broadway stage, and that it took over my life, that fear. For many, many years, I did not get back on stage, and I stopped doing what I loved most. And it wasn't until I was so tired of letting this fear take me over. I was so tired of not doing what I loved the most. I was so tired of pushing my passion away that I faced it. And I began to collect all of these tools and techniques that helped me face that fear and get back on stage. And at the beginning, these tools and techniques were like a jumbled, messy toolkit. They were not in any order. They were not, there was no rhyme and reason. They just were all random things that helped me. And it wasn't until I started coaching clients to face their own fears that I actually created a methodology. And I honed this methodology over time with my clients, helping them to walk towards what scared them most, which most of the time is public speaking for my clients. But, you know, fear is fear. And a lot of times, fear of public speaking is actually fear of something much bigger. So this methodology helps not only for fear of public speaking, but for any kind of huge, audacious, hairy goals we have that scare us. Now, I am not typically a coach that prescribes a one-size-fits-all methodology, but I want to give you the 5 steps that have helped my clients get back on track, face setbacks, and dust themselves off and start walking towards that fear again. Now, before I go into each of these 5 steps, I want to let you know that I have done videos on each of these steps that will go more in depth about how to actually do these things. So if you want to deep dive into any of these 5 steps, please check out my previous videos. Step number 1 is baby steps. This is a systemized approach to desensitizing yourself to this thing that scares you most. Now, if we are giving the pier jump analogy and sticking with that, this is the equivalent of not just jumping off the pier as your first step. You take small jumps that are getting, higher and higher and higher each time until you feel ready to jump off the pier. Why? Because if you just jump off the pier immediately, or the proverbial jumping off of that pier, you put your body right back in fight or flight. And what we're trying to do here is turn down your body's natural fight or flight instinct so you can walk towards that fear. So find a way to chunk down whatever the end goal is into smaller steps that won't alert your fight or flight system. Step number 2 is visualization. Visualization is an amazing tool to help you face fear and walk towards your goals. This is why it is used so much by performers, athletes. So many successful people use visualization because your brain does not know the difference between doing something and visualizing it. So if you visualize yourself jumping off those pier and swimming so strong to the shore every single day, I guarantee you eventually you will be ready to do it because your brain thinks you already have. Step number 3 is change your inner voice. Half of this game is mental. It is a game of giving yourself positive coaching messages instead of negative. Now, I sometimes call that inner voice that gives us negative messages before we do scary things K-crap radio station, because it's this radio station where the volume gets louder and louder and louder as you get closer to doing this scary thing. And it is saying things to you that are negative. It is actually your body's survival instinct. It is trying to stop you from doing this thing that your brain has deemed as potentially life-threatening. That is actually what K-crap radio is. But in this case, it is crap. It's not helping you. You don't need it. It's like that overprotective friend that is trying to protect you from doing something that they think may not be good for you, but you know that you're okay. So change your inner voice to your positive coaching voice. We all have that voice too. It's a matter of turning down the volume on one and turning up the volume on the other. And again, if you want a deep dive in how to do this, check out some of my other videos on positive psychology and rewiring our neural pathways. Step number 4 is breathe. Breathing correctly is so key to facing our fears. This is literally the key to taking our body out of fight or flight and into rest and digest. And once you understand how to use diaphragmatic breathing or deep breathing to calm and focus yourself, this becomes your power tool. And I've done countless videos on breathing. So please, if this is something that you feel that you need help with, that you're not in control of your breath when you feel fearful, I highly recommend you check out some of my videos on deep breathing. And step number 5 is reframing. Now, our response to anxiety and fear in our body is almost the same as our response to excitement. The same things happen. We get butterflies in our stomachs, our heart race, we get sweaty, our breathing changes. So if you can reframe this for yourself, and when you start to have these physiological symptoms, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so scared or I'm so anxious, you can say, I'm excited. I know this sounds cheesy, but if you say it enough to yourself, if you recognize those symptoms and tell your brain that this is actually you being excited and preparing for this thing, eventually your brain believes it. Your brain will reframe the physiological experience. Instead of reframing it and mapping it as fear, it will reframe it and map it as excitement. So there you go. Those are your 5 steps to facing your fears, dusting yourself off, and becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I will tell you that this is a practice. This is not something that you just do these 5 steps, check the box, and all of a sudden you're fearless. This is a practice. This means this is something you must do every day. And I will not promise you it's going to get easier. It will not get easier. But you know what I will promise? You will get stronger. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and until next time, make sure to lead brilliantly, live boldly, and speak with Moxie.